Good evening, everybody. Good to have you guys tonight. Gary, good to have you. First one in tonight. Tom, Mike, Peter, Bubba K, good to have you. Mark, Stephen Manis having trouble with his TV. That's right, WJPB show. Good to have all you folks. We'll let everybody get a chance to get in here. I want to say thank you for showing up. And again, before you get out of here, give me a thumbs up. Let us know that you're liking the show. And if you're catching it on the replay or you're new, welcome to you as well. Feel free to participate. Leave us a comment. Leave us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. Albert, good to have you tonight.
Good evening, Mike. Mr. Mark.
Mark, that new grill looks good.
That's a big hat.
It looks big on the screen there.
I'll keep it.
Put her outside or in the road or something. Terry, good to have you tonight. We appreciate you being here. John, good to have you. Peter, good to have you. Good to see you guys. We'll go ahead and get started. First of all, a little channel update. We are at 5,167, so we're moving on up slow but steady. Doing really good. A couple of updates on the mailbag situation. First of all, let me say that we did hear from Bob Workman on the Chimp, and so we don't have to worry about re-giving away the Chimp. So I sent Mark that information, and so Mark's going to handle it from there. But again, thanks to Grilla Grills and Mark Graham for all of their generosity, and couldn't have done it without them. So that was good. I felt good about finally hearing from Bob, and glad we got that worked out. So that worked out good. Also, Southern Griddler Barbecue, your package is on the way, as well as Justin Stanley's Traeger package is on the way as well. And also Iron Bean Coffee Company is sending their stuff also. So awesome stuff. So everybody has got their stuff in the mail. Also in the mailbag, we got both of our hats coming in. We got the green, the olive drab and black, and the navy and gray. And I took a Pitmaster privilege and ordered my own kind of khaki and coffee color. We're just waiting on the patches right now. So as soon as the patches come in, we'll get them sewn on, and they'll be on the website. But we do have the koozies on the website already. So we've got those available. So check those out. Eddie Hanks, how's it going, brother? Gregor, good to have you tonight. Good to have all you guys. Mark, if I haven't said it already, yeah, you were up there in the top. Smoky Joe Barbecue, good to have you. Austin, good to have you, man. Good to have you. Austin, that next round, I'm going to put some Flex Fit hats in there as well. Some big old hats. Good stuff. PBC announced the PBC Junior is back in inventory, which is great news. That's pretty good. So, Peter, IBCC cast iron being delivered tomorrow. Man, that's awesome. RJ's cooking again. Good to have you. Good to have all of you. All right. We covered the mailbag. Also, in the mailbag this week, I got a box from Iron Bean Coffee Company, and it was a box of some of their stoneware mugs. And it's the maroon color mugs. And so I've kind of been running around in my head what we could do with those. And I think we're going to do some random giveaways with those handmade stoneware mugs. And I haven't even told them that we're going to do this. So it's really going to be random because they don't even know. But if they show up on a Wednesday night or Sunday morning, we're going to call it Iron Bean Coffee Time. And the next person that comments after the Iron Bean Coffee comment, they will get a free stoneware mug. So it's going to be totally random. Have no idea when they're going to show up or if they don't even know about it yet. So it'll be funny if it happens tonight. But so that'll be pretty fun. Now, you can only win once, so be aware of that. Just try to keep it fair for everybody. But that'll be pretty fun. So we're going to do that as well. So thanks to Iron Bean Coffee Company for that. That's pretty cool. I told you to put her outside.
Just ignore.
Kelly says she's looking forward to listen to y'all talking if and when are able to meet up. That'll be cool. Again, John, send me an email with the details and all that stuff, and we'll definitely try to get together with all that stuff. Elvin, good to have you tonight. There ain't nothing funny about it to me.
She went away.
I think that's all we got to cover as far as all that stuff goes. Also, a note, we probably won't have a Sunday morning show just because we're going to be out of town. Friday afternoon, we're headed to Talladega to the NASCAR race. And so we'll be there. Thought about trying to do a little spontaneous live stuff from Talladega. Depends on what we have going on. And to be honest with you, the last time we were there, the cell phone service was pretty bad. So I don't know if we'll be able to do anything or not. So we're not planning on doing anything Sunday morning. So be aware of that. Them Irish need to move down and out of the top 10. It's getting cluttered.
No, sir. Not happening.
I'll do it, Tom. I'll do it. It's going to be a good weekend. Riley Green, if you're not familiar with his music, he's going to have a concert there Saturday night. So we're looking forward to that. And we're going to talk about that trip a little bit and specifically what we're going to be cooking, how we're going to do it, kind of the process prep-wise that we're going to do. So maybe it's going to help some of you guys that like to camp. And so, maybe that'll help some folks. Brock, good to have you. Tom, good to have you. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Obviously, there's several different ways we could go with that as far as what grills we want to take and stuff like that. The first thing is it's going to be a little chilly, thankfully so. But it's going to be in the upper 40s one night.
Well, when I looked today, it was 51.
So somewhere around 50, depending on which day you look at the weather forecast, but somewhere around 50, 49, 50, somewhere around there at nighttime. And so we've made some preparations for that, but we're also going to take a fire pit and taking some wood so we can have a fire with us and stuff. As far as grills go, there's several different ways that we could go. We could take the Traeger Tailgater. We could take the Chimp. We could take the pit barrel cooker. We could take the Watchman Stove. It just depends how we want to go with it. but we're already taking the generator. Again, I've got a Generac IQ 2000 generator, and I think I've got a link, an Amazon affiliate link for that generator. I've done 2 videos on it. One is a review, and one is me actually using it. But we're already taking it just to power some lights and my CPAP machine, coffee maker, stuff like that. So we might as well take a pellet grill too. So we're going to take the Chimp with us. Again, I could take the Watchman, and that would be really cool. I would have to take a lot more wood than we're already taking that we're going to burn in the fire pit, though. We could take with the pit barrel cooker. The only thing with the pit barrel cooker is, which it probably wouldn't take the footprint as far as in the bed of my truck. It probably wouldn't be any bigger. But we're going to go with the Chimp this time. So that's how we're going to do it. Jason, good to have you tonight. Yes, it is the Generac model of the Honda IE or IU 2000, EU 2000, whatever it is. The quiet Honda, it's exactly like that version, except it's orange, basically. The features on it, like I say, I've got a video on it that goes over all the features in depth, like I do all my review videos. But I like it because it's got a visual gas gauge. It tells you how long in hours that you have fuel wise. So that's really cool to just look at and see. It's got like a digital graph on it and a timer. So I really like that part of it. And again, it's quiet. I mean, the last time we went to Bristol, for Pete's sake, there was a guy 2 stalls over that had a generator. It was one of those Predator generators. And I mean, it's,
Talladega.
Yeah.
You said Bristol.
Well, wherever we were. And it sounded like a big old truck without a muffler on it. I mean, we couldn't even hear ourselves think. We took a speaker with us to try to listen to music, and we couldn't even hear the speaker that was, from me to that wall right there. So it was just brutal. And we couldn't even, there were times when I would have to go over to our generator just to make sure that it was running because we couldn't hear it. So really quiet, and it's about, I think, $200 to $300 cheaper than the Honda version. So, but I've had it for a couple years now. Used it on several different trips to Bristol and Talladega, camping and so forth, and it's always done great. So we used it for the burger cook-off.
Had 2 grills.
Had 2 grills going, and the pellet grills don't even hardly draw anything off of it. So, Meat Cranium, good to have you tonight. So really good. And if you like camping and that kind of thing, want to take a pellet grill, and you're thinking about a generator, check out that Generac IQ 2000 generator. I mean, I would recommend it to anybody. I love it. And it's also one of those that you can get 2 of them and then hook them together and double it. So really cool stuff. So check that out. What else? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take the Chimp, and we've kind of planned out our cooks. We're not going to get there until late Friday night, so we'll probably just pick something up on the way. And then the way the schedules are running, basically the driver introduction Saturday and Sunday are around noon. And so there's really no sense in us getting up, cooking breakfast, and then turning right around before we even get through eating and starting lunch so that we can eat lunch and then get to the track and see all of the pre-race festivities. So we're just going to kind of forego the breakfast part and eat a mid-morning early lunch, let's say. So, and then after the race, obviously we're going to eat supper. So, Saturday morning, we're going to get up and we're going to do some brats. And so we're going to have the brats, obviously, and the peppers and onions. We're going to go ahead and slice those up ahead of time, put those in a bag, and have them in the cooler. So that prep work is already done. So that's going to be a really easy meal. We can get that done pretty quick. And then out the campsite, we go to the track. Then when we get back that afternoon, we're going to do hamburger steaks and mushrooms. And so we can go ahead and patty out and season the hamburger steaks ahead of time, put them in black bags, put them in the freezer, then put them in the cooler, and they're going to be fine in there. The mushrooms, all we do with that is just whole button mushrooms, put them in a tinfoil pack with some butter, a little seasoning, wrap them up in that tinfoil pack, and just put them on. And they just kind of steam in there, and that's how we do those. So that's going to be a really easy supper. So pretty much all that's going to be prepped ahead of time. And then for Sunday, we're going to do chicken fajitas that morning. Again, the peppers and onions, they'll already be sliced up in bags. So all we have to do is cook the chicken. We could even pre-season the chicken breasts and have those in bags. So again, that's going to be a really easy meal that morning for Sunday morning. Go to the track, and when we get back that afternoon, we're going to have a pork tenderloin and some, again, a tinfoil pack of probably some squash and zucchini and onions and a little butter and a little seasoning. Wrap those up in tinfoil and put those on the grill. So, and we like doing those tinfoil packs a lot, just because number one, it's easy for cleanup, and it just kind of makes it easy on us. Really no different cooking it in a pot or a pan, but it's just kind of easy. So, especially when you're camping. So that's going to be our meals. And so all that stuff's going to be prepped ahead of time. We're going to do one cooler for our drinks, one cooler for our food. I like keeping those separate just because in my mind, I see meat thawing out and juices and stuff getting on top of your drinks, and you definitely don't want that. So I just like keeping them separate. And then we also have I think it's a 10-gallon orange igloo cooler, the round one with the spout. And we usually just put fresh water in that. So we have water to brush our teeth, wash our hands, wash out pots or anything like that. So we'll take 3 coolers with us. So that's pretty much how we're going to do our meals. But it's just easy to plan ahead of time. It makes it a lot easier rather than prepping everything there. And so that's kind of how we're going to do that. What else we got? We got some comments that we didn't get. Steven's been feeling tired lately. Well, Steven, we throwing up prayers to you, man. Hope you get to feeling better.
It is.
Pays first place $1,000. They want photos of where you traveled with your PBC. Talladega, man, I might need to change what we're going to cook on. That'd be pretty cool. Although the scenery from your campsite is not very good. I mean, it's not like we're going to be able to camp right in front of the stands, right in front of the sign. I mean, it would be like camping in a pasture in the backyard somewhere. It's not going to be. Although that would be a cool venue to take it as far as taking pictures. We're going to be in a campsite of about 400 different campsites, and
You don't even have it on. It's on the computer.
and so I don't think that would help us out any as far as our picture taking abilities would go. John, good to have you from South Dakota. trying to catch up on some of these. IQ 2000 on sale for $7.99, free shipping. That's what I paid for mine, Eddie. And again, you save a couple $100 over the Honda, and I don't know of any difference performance wise. It's done everything that we've asked it to do. Let me put it that way. So we've had no issues with it at all. Terry, good to have you tonight. As a somewhat beginner cooker, what type grill or smoker would you advise? Terry, I'll be honest with you. If you're just getting into it, one of the simplest grills that you can start out with, I have to say, would probably be a Weber Kettle. I had a Weber Kettle Master Touch for a while. It comes with charcoal baskets. It comes with a grill grate that has hinges on both sides to help you put more charcoal in there or wood chunks, stuff like that. So I would say a Weber Kettle. Also, it's very economical. It just kind of depends on what your budget is. I would also recommend the pit barrel cooker as far as ease of use, to be honest with you. You can cook almost anything on it. I do think that probably the Weber Kettle might be a little more versatile, but I love the pit barrel cooker. Give the Watchman Stove a look. The Watchman Stove, although is not as much a smoker as it is a grill, but it can also be your fire pit as well. I would say the Weber Kettle. Good starter. Weber Smoky Mountain too. But again, just starting out, and just in my mind, somebody starting out probably wants to get in it fairly cheap. I would say a Weber Kettle. And again, several questions about the generator. I'll look on my channel real quick. And pull up that review, and I'll just copy it and paste it in here for you guys if y'all want to check it out. So there's the link to that review video of that Generac. And I actually bought it because my brother Harley, he was working at Ace of Gray up there in Gray, Georgia, and they were a Generac dealer. They also worked on them and fixed them, and he recommended it. And I'm glad he did, because again, I saved a couple $100 over the Honda. I was actually looking at the Honda, and so really cool. I think there's even some comparison videos on YouTube comparing the Generac to the Honda and a couple of other. There's a couple of different brands now that are right on that level as far as quietness goes. So check them out, but I'm been really pleased with that Generac. Want Traeger last longer and through experience have more capability. Greg, are you talking about like for a starter type grill? Morgan, good to have you tonight. I watched you cook a couple things on the Silverbac, but I have never seen you put container with water in it. Does the pellet smokers not need water in them? I mean, I don't guess it hurts to put water in it if you want to add some moisture. Most of the time, especially if I'm cooking pork butts, and there's several different ways that you can do it. One of the ways is to add a little pot with some water. But for me, like ribs or pork butts, for example, even the brisket that I did, I'll usually have a squirt bottle with a solution. Most of the time, it's with a little bit of water and some apple cider vinegar, but you can use whatever you want. You could use water. I've used several different liquids, but every hour I spritz it, and that's how I kind of keep the moisture going in my grills. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but no, that's not a bad idea. Thank you for the comment too. Southern Grilla BBQ, good to have you tonight, and your package is on the way, so you should be getting that pretty soon. Eamon McClaimon, good to have you tonight, my man. I saw that Eamon McClaimon's got some new swag that he's got on his channel, so y'all check that out.
Murder said, yep.
I don't know what that's for. Oh, about
Because
the.
y'all were talking about the Traeger.
I got it. I got it. I don't know if it'll last longer. I mean, there's people that has had their Weber kettles for 30 years, so it just all depends on what you want. When I think of somebody starting out and somebody wanting something that's kind of easy and simple, it doesn't get much simpler than that. There's a lot of people right now that are purchasing pellet grills that are inexperienced, and because of that inexperience, they have a lot of problems with their pellet grills working properly, and it's not the pellet grill's fault. They just don't really understand how they work. So I would suggest getting something a lot simpler that doesn't require electricity or anything, or a controller or anything like that. The less number of parts to a grill, the easier and simpler it's going to be, in my opinion. So that's just what I would recommend. And Harley says can't beat a kettle to start with. And for me and Harley have had this conversation before. For me, a pellet grill is simple. But also for me, so is a Kamado Joe. So is the Watchman Stove. So is the pit barrel cooker. But, and I don't know, maybe it's because I have an understanding of, how fire works and what the components you need to make fire and how you control the heat. Maybe it's because I do homework on each grill that I have. And so I understand how each one of them are different and what it takes to operate them differently than others. But for the person just starting out, I think the simpler the better to me. Arrived today after I rolled out, but wife says she can't wait to try out those new rubs. That's good stuff. Good deal. It's good to hear. Tom, I was so depressed I didn't win anything on the big giveaway. I have a Chimp on the way to keep my Silverbac company. That's awesome, Tom. You're going to love it. Chimp owners, I'll tell you a couple of things that I have noticed that you will probably notice too, and I can go ahead and make you aware of those. Number one, you're going to find that if you're pulling it around, that it is very, I don't want to say tip heavy. It's very heavy on the pellet hopper end. So when you're picking it up on the handle on the other end to pull it, the hopper is on the wheel's end. It doesn't take much. If you raise that up too high, the wheels want to kick under with you, and it's not too difficult to tip it back on its hopper if you're not careful. So be aware of that. And also, for me, I'm right-handed, so when I pull it behind me, I'm pulling it with my right hand. And that leg, which would be on the left side, on the front side, if you're not careful, it'll tear your ankle bone off. So I always take that leg and lock it in the up position. So when I pull it, I don't have to worry about it tearing my ankle off. And then when I get it to where I want it, I'll pull the leg back down. So that's two things. And the third thing is I would recommend, I haven't done it yet. I need to do it. But for example, when we were going to the burger cook-off, the little adjustable feet that are on the bottom, so if you want to cook with it with the legs up, it still has adjustable feet where you can level it up. Well, I would recommend probably putting some thread tape around those threads or something to keep it from loosening up, because two of them actually fell off into the truck, into the trailer. Luckily, they stayed in the trailer and I kept them. So I had to tighten them back up really tight. But you just kind of got to watch out for those because you don't want to lose those. So just those are three little things that I can think right off the top to be aware of. It's a little heavy on the hopper end when you're pulling it. Number two, it'll tear your ankle bone off if you don't let that leg up. And number three, make sure if you're not using them, that those little feet, either you could take them off and put them in a safe spot or tighten them up really tight so they're not going to come loose.
Great home.
Cooper the Great, good to have you. And Gregor, that might be the case too. And there is some truth to that. The more you grill, the better you're gonna get at it. That's true. The old saying, practice makes perfect. Well, I'm far from being perfect, but I would agree with you that the more that you do it, the better you're going to get at it. You're going to make mistakes and know what not to do the next time around. So I agree with that. Kamado Joe, after speaking with Eddie Hanks several times, is a dream cooker and very easy. It is really easy. I even did a video on how to, control your temps on the Kamado Joe, and that's exactly how I do every cook on the Kamado. And I don't really have any issues at all with it. I love it. Peter, I use my pellet grill for everything but hot and fast on steaks and chicken. Use the kettle for those. Yeah, I've never really, I don't think, done hot and fast cooks on my pellet grill. Mark says Generac IQ 2000 on sale on Amazon for $639. That's a heck of a deal. That's a heck of a deal. Peter did beef jerky on the pellet grill, smoked at 170.
Thank you.
Terry, and again, that's kind of why we do this. And so any kind of questions that you have, shoot them to me and I'll try to help you out any way I can. Yeah, that the first time it hit my ankle bone, I might have said a few choice words. Austin's Chimp has been running like a champ all summer.
Austin, have you named it yet?
Yeah, you got to name your grills. I had my Silverbac on a Pro cart tip like that once. We were loading it in the toy hauler. And Tom, I have had the same thing happen. Especially if you're going up a ramp or something like that, it's really easy to tip over backwards. And the Chimp is kind of the same way. And I forget which grill it is. I either have one now. I can't remember if it's a 780 or it might be the Traeger Tailgater. One of the Traegers, the Pellet Hopper is actually opposite of the wheels. And that kind of prevents that from wanting to tip back. So I kind of like that part.
Austin said Dusty
because out here
it's hard to keep going.
Yeah, I bet it is. That's a pretty good name. I like it.
Gregor said Sparky.
Sparky is a great name too. Yeah.
I like Clyde.
Yeah, Clyde was a good name for old Chimp. Peter, check out some tomahawks I did for a demo on my Instagram. I don't even know if I've seen those, Harley. Dave Brock, thanks, Peter. Gonna try the jerky as soon as I get more pellets. The Silverbac is burning them up fast. It does do that. You got to stay ahead of the game on the pellets.
Gregor, I wanted to name one of my boys Clyde, and that got shot down, so I had to name a grill Clyde.
And Eddie's got another good power pack that will run the Chimp for 10 hours for $185. That's a really good deal. Really good deal. That's right, Gregor, because of Clint Eastwood. My pal Vega, love your show. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you. Oh, and the McKenzie, that's what I'm talking about, Harley.
You saw him.
Harley got some.
I saw him.
I had a great day up at McKenzie, Tennessee, doing a cook up there for those folks. I was going to say, about the Generac. Just want to say, for example, at one time we have had a pellet smoker going, coffee maker going, lights going,
Cell phones
plugged in, a fan going, and it'll last, with all that stuff going, I mean, it'll last 12 hours or so before putting any more gas in it. And I think it might hold a gallon of gas maybe. So really good.
Well, it runs all night with your CPAP.
Yeah, it'll run. I have to have it from my CPAP, and it runs all night, and I'll wake up the next morning, it'll still have 8 hours worth because it's not really drawing anything. So yes, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Have you ever done a turkey in the Silverbac, and do you think it would be a good idea? I think it'd be a great idea. I think the only turkey that I've done lately is I hung my turkey. Was it last year or year before?
It might have been both years.
I hung turkeys in the pit barrel cooker. They have a turkey hanger that fits up inside the turkey, and it's got a T-bar that you hang. And that works excellent. But we have already talked about this year of actually doing a spatchcock turkey, just like you do a spatchcock chicken. And I'll probably film that. And so because you asked that, I'll try to do that on the Silverbac and do a spatchcock turkey on the Silverbac. We'll see how that goes. Never done one like that, but I just think it would be a good idea. That's probably my favorite way to do chicken now, whole chicken, is to spatchcock it, spread it out. You get an even amount of smoke on the underside and on the top side. And I think that'd be a great way to cook a turkey. So I think I'll do that. But yeah, I think it'd be a great idea.
Eddie, I don't know why they're putting out Christmas stuff. We haven't even got to Halloween yet. That drives me insane.
Believe it or not, I used to Walmart Milanese cut steak to make my jerky. That's interesting. Hams on Silverbac is great. I've got at least one, maybe two videos of a ham on the Silverbac. I think I used some kind of bourbon glaze on the ham. Maybe Knob Creek. Some Knob Creek bourbon on the ham. Troy, absolutely, they should not do Christmas decorations before Halloween. I agree. Yep.
I agree with that too. No Christmas stuff till after Thanksgiving.
Let's see. Cut about an 1/8 inch thick. I just had to cut it into strips. Thanks for the spatchcock information. Always wondered why folks did that. Yeah. Basically, it's a way to get a good amount of smoke, and it cooks a little more even on the top side and underneath. Basically, because that cavity, it's kind of like it's insulated with all that meat, and so the outside tends to get a little drier while the inside stays a little moisture. But if you spatchcock it and lay it out, then the heat's a little more even. You get a little bit more smoke on it as well. So that's the way I like to cook whole chickens now.
Yes, Austin. My mama has always put pineapple on her hams.
Pineapple soaked ham on the smoker is where it's at on Thanksgiving. The Traeger Turkey pellets with brine kits are in stores now and are awesome. And Justin Stanley is getting one of those orange brine turkey kits in his Traeger pack that's on the way. Justin, I'm a Canadian. We do Thanksgiving this weekend. Really? I did not know that. That's very interesting.
Does it cook faster?
John, I don't know. I've never really timed. I would think so, just because you get even heat on the top and bottom, kind of all the way around it. But I've never really timed it. I would think so. Gregor, thank you for that. For some race goodies seasoning. Did you two watch the 2014 Admiral McCraven Texas commencement?
No, we watched it. We watched it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That night, I think.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
No, I'm a Longhorns fan before I'm an Aggie fan. Mike.
If you invite us, we'll invite you. Yeah. Southern Grilla Barbecue. We did spatchcock chickens on my new red box this weekend. I love those red boxes, by the way. Those look really cool. First time doing the spatchcock method, and they turned out great. Definitely my new favorite way to do whole chicken. So there you go. There's another opinion on the spatchcock method. Pineapples are great on ham. I love the pineapples. I mean, they add a good flavor and keep some moisture in the ham, but I love the flavor that the ham puts on the pineapple pieces. I like that just as much as the ham.
Sure.
You Yanks do Thanksgiving on a different level, though. Ours is not as big a celebration. Cooper the Great is not a fan of Texas.
Well, I'm not saying they're my team,
it would go faster. John, I agree with you. Time to go watch Nats baseball. Mark, cheers. Have a good night.
Mr. Mark.
Again, if y'all are in here, please give me a thumbs up on the show. Let us know that you like the show, and that sure helps us out with YouTube. They kind of like the thumbs up stuff, so I appreciate that. Pineapple with brown sugar and those things you stick in ham. Yeah, the what do you call them? The little brown things.
Toothpicks?
No, the seasonings, the cloves.
Oh.
Great job, Tom. Great job. Yeah, I don't do the cloves. I do kind of like putting a little cherry right there in the middle of the pineapple, though. Yeah, cloves. There must be a delay because surely y'all typed it all at the same time. Cloves. I can't believe I couldn't remember that.
Don't ask me.
Cloves.
You cook around here.
Hold on a minute. Now we're all in there. Turkey smoked good on the Traegers. Yeah. Gavin. Good day, mate. So this is morning. Time.
It has been a while.
We were talking about you the other morning or the other night, Gavin. Even some of the guys asked about you, and I was kind of starting to get worried. Hope everything's doing well for you. Mike Tabor says, "Where you been, mate?" Great to have our guy from down under back on here.
I don't think he knew he was so missed. But yeah, that's where you do yours.
Yeah, the past couple of years, that's the way I've done mine, Albert. And that hanger that they have for the turkeys makes it really easy. Yeah, Gavin's been on a long walkabout.
There he is.
All good this way. Super busy with work. Cheers, guys. Gavin, sometimes you got to take a little break, mate, and maybe you need to let them know, hey, Jus Piddlin's got a show on Wednesday for you, Wednesday mornings. I got to be there for that, mate.
Well, his paycheck may be more important than your show.
Well, it could be. Butterball is the best. I don't really have a favorite brand of turkey. Although I do like the Smithfield spiral cut hams. I like those hams.
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorite hams.
Mama does too.
My phone, or did your camera lose focus? You guys are a little blurry. It looks good where we're at. Somebody else let us know if the camera kind of messed up on you a little bit. Good on my phone. Must be his phone. Sorry about that, brother. They look good on my end. I wouldn't go that far, Tom.
We're clear in Louisiana.
Clear in Louisiana. This is kind of like the clove thing. You're good here. Yep, you're good here. Gavin, I feel you. I was off here for a while working overtime at work. Missed the whole Piddlin family. We missed you too, Peter. Have you ever done a hunt, shoot, and cook wild turkey? Some say the meat is tough. I have cooked wild turkey, and
you need to soak it in milk.
Now deer, like if we get a whole, like a deer backstrap or tenderloin, mine and Harley's mama always soaked that in buttermilk for a little while. If we didn't have buttermilk, she'd use sweet milk, but that kind of drew out the gaminess of it. And if it was in buttermilk, the acidity of that buttermilk kind of tenderized it a little bit. But as far as turkey goes, the only wild turkey that I have personally cooked, and a lot of people, at least in this area, they'll batter it and fry it. But I've always grilled it and smoked wild turkey, and it was like strips, kind of like chicken tenders, and that was not tough. But again, you have to make sure cook it to an internal temp. Don't overcook it, because then it is going to be tough. Again, it's really, really lean, and any lean meat, if you overcook it the least bit, it's going to be really tough.
Harley, I'm glad you left me out of that comment. And Mike, sometimes getting paid is better than, or is needed more than watching us. That's the train.
Hey, just picked up a bag of Traeger pellets. Geez, they've gone up $5 a bag now. $34.95. $34.95 for a bag. Now is that like US dollars? Gavin, yeah, the export tax to Australia has went through the roof. Wow. John Woo, good to have you tonight. He says he can vouch for the Butterball with Traeger Brand kit and pellets. I don't care for the wild turkey from around here. Must be something the turkeys in Connecticut eat. It very well could be. Kangaroo bucks. I cooked at one of our pellet mills yesterday, and we talked about that.
Yeah, it's Aussie dollars.
Aussie dollars. I wonder what, Gavin, do you know what that converts to US dollars? Side Yard Barbecue, good to have you. Just got my Chimp today, seasoning right now. That is outstanding. Good stuff. And I know probably what you're thinking, but let us know your first impressions. For me, I was happy because it was, the build quality was right there with the Silverbac stuff. So about 20 pounds. Harley, so give us some insight on the Pellet Mill experience. What you learned, maybe something that you learned that you didn't know. Any surprises? Dick Sports and BBQ guys have decent pellet prices. And again, I get questions all the time about the pellets and what brand and all that stuff. And again, the other night I saw a comment where a guy was struggling with his pellet grill getting up to temp, but he said he had just started trying a new brand of cherry pellets, and so that's why I always say find a brand that works for you, that you had a great cook on, and just stick with it. Yeah, maybe you're going to save $5 a bag, but if you buy that bag and you end up throwing it out because it wasn't very good, I mean, what did you really accomplish, So, and your cook wasn't very good and you ended up wasting some meat or something like that. I just don't think it's worth it to chase, to chase that great deal on some pellets when I would rather just find a pellet that I know that works, it's consistent, and just stick with it. So $1 is about 65. That's still pretty high. Stephen Manning says 23.48. I knew somebody would figure it out. Stephen, you the man. By the way, Stephen, UPS is shipping Justin Stanley's Traeger package. That's probably the biggest package I've ever shipped. Mm-hmm. By far. Really cool and simple process. Too much to type. I can call in if you want. Hold on. I know this is going to be a surprise to you, but I got 2%. We'll talk about it and maybe cover that whole topic next Wednesday night if you're available. Are we going to be available?
No.
No?
That's the one in Tennessee.
Wednesday? Oh, I didn't know. That's too far away.
Oh, wait on me, Carol.
There are other options, but we need to freight them. Yeah, go ahead.
You can call me.
We may have a call in. Yeah, do it. He don't even spell your name right.
He did not spell my name right.
No.
Sorry.
Spelling was not his strong suit. Mama Julie cooks. Good to have you tonight. I put away all my cookers until I get the PK down. It literally sips fuel. That's awesome, Eddie. That's good stuff. And I know the feeling. It's always funny how when you get a new cooker, you want to spend all your time cooking on it, so your other ones kind of get left to the wayside. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on?
I'm just having a little live stream. Maybe everybody can hear you. We'll turn the volume up a little bit.
I know you got a live stream. I just own
it. So tell us what your experience was at the pellet. What do you even call those places?
It's a pellet mill.
Pellet mill.
Traeger owns 7 of them across the United States. 4 of them are in the Southeast. We've got 3 of those in Alabama, 1's in Georgia, primarily because of the type of wood that we use that's used in pellets, mainly hickory and oak, is more prevalent in the Southeast. And it was a very eye-opening experience to see how simple the process is. The raw material comes in, goes into their huge hoppers, it gets filtered, and then from there, it goes into a kiln that dries everything out at 200 degrees. Then it goes into another hopper that adds 5% moisture, and that's chlorine-free, just pure water moisture. Then it goes into another kiln that goes to 200 degrees and rolls everything, and it forms the pellets, and the pellets come out and they go into a bag.
That's pretty cool. So So there's a lot of misinformation that goes on as far as pellets go and that kind of stuff. And this brand does this and this brand does that.
Yeah.
So let's say if you get a bag of hickory pellets, what percentage of that bag is hickory and what else is in that bag?
And that's a great question because that's one of the questions that I asked when we were there. It's hickory. It's 100% hickory hardwood.
So
if it's oak, it's 100% oak.
So what are the flavors that get mixed with, say, alder or whatever the other mixture is?
And that's a great question too, as far as what gets mixed with alder and what gets mixed with oak. Here in the Southeast, the base for any other pellet, and it doesn't matter what the pellet mill brand is. It could be Traeger, it could be XYZ, any other one. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a base of oak in the Southeast. That is the base for all pellets, other than a true hardwood like a hickory, a oak, or in our region, a pecan, something like that. Now, I asked about specifically I threw out apple.
Mm-hmm.
So apple is a mixture of apple oil. So when they go through apple orchards, especially for Traeger, when they go through apple orchards and trim those trees like they do every so often, they uproot a tree because it's dying off or what have you. They take that and then they make apple oil out of that because we can make so much more oil out of that than we can actually get pellets out of it. If we just tried to, you would get maybe out of say a whole apple tree, get half a bag of pellets out of it.
Right.
So we can take that and burn that wood and turn it into apple oil. Now we can take that oil, add that to oak, and turn that into an apple flavored pellet.
Right. So it's almost like an extract.
Exactly right. So you're extracting that essence of that tree and putting it into a wood that can accept it. Now out in Oregon, Washington and Oregon, out there, they use alder as a base.
Right.
Because alder is very prevalent out there. They don't have the type of oak that we have. And the type of oak that goes into our pellets into the Traeger pellets, is white oak.
Right.
So it's a 40% oak as a base, and then you've got 60% of that extract makes up the rest of it.
All right. So that brings me to the question. Obviously, you're aware. A lot of people are talking about it on Facebook. The new class action lawsuit.
Yep.
Where some guys suing Traeger because they're flavored oils in the pellets.
Correct.
All right. So that goes back to basically what you just said. Whereas an apple flavored pellet, instead of using a whole apple tree to make a half a bag of pellets.
Yeah, because there would be no apple trees left in the entire world.
Right. So they make the oils out of it.
Yeah. And let me explain the reason. Let me explain very quickly what has been set down from our legal team, what we can actually say.
All right.
Which is actually more than I thought it would be.
And before you say that, let me say, I don't want you to get in trouble as far as saying something that you shouldn't say. So,
no, this came directly from our pellet mill, and we're actually able to say this.
Okay.
So that particular lawsuit, and there'll be more information about that here pretty soon that we got hit with, is actually from somebody. I can't say a name. That's the only thing I can't do. But people are pretty smart and put two and two together. Somebody who used to be a part of the Traeger team many years ago, and came up with that process. And it's very frustrating for other pellet manufacturing companies because they want that same process.
Mm-hmm.
and they're mad because Traeger has it patented. So now the person who invented that process, who is no longer with the company
Right.
many moons ago, is mad because they're with
And what
another pellet grow company.
Right, that's what I was about to say. So the person that came up with that process now is with another pellet company who doesn't have that patent, and so now, so that makes a little sense. Well, here was my my take on it, and I responded to one of the posts on Facebook, and that was number one. I don't think that that's a reflection on Traeger. Number one, because the person that's actually doing the lawsuit is from California, where they ban straws, but they allow people to walk around smoking pot at will. So
That's right.
That's where it's coming from as far as that individual, number one. And number two, you're talking about the company that sells more pellet grills than anybody else. And when that happens, they're the one that's going to take the brunt of any type of lawsuit like that.
Yeah.
So
the issue is why people are mad about the process that we use to make the apple and cherry and stuff like that, your maple pellet, stuff like that, is because they're not allowed to use that same process.
Right.
So they use a little bit different process, and it's not near as effective. Because let me be very clear, something that I learned, because pellet mill industries, a lot of them are struggling a little bit, so they were trying to sell a few of them to Traeger recently, and we said no, because we looked at the process and looked at the materials they were working in, where they source their materials, and said no, this isn't a good fit for us.
Right.
So everybody who makes an apple, cherry, anything like that is a fruit wood, it uses a fruit wood, basically oil or extract. Extract is a better term, but they want to use oil,
right,
as a term. There's not a single one out there that is 100% apple. And that's what's up for debate now too, because there hasn't been any regulations as far as being able to say that. Now, like on a bag of Traeger pellets, it says 100% hardwood, or you'll see where it also says 100% hardwood and flavored blend or fruit wood blend or something like that on there. I don't know the exact terminology.
Right.
It lets you know what you're getting.
Right.
There is no such thing as 100% cherry wood pellets. If there was, there would be no cherry wood trees in the entire world left.
Right.
It just doesn't happen that way. And I wasn't aware of exactly how many trees it takes to make, to turn into dust to put in there to make a pellet. I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
So it was very eye-opening and got a very, very good understanding and better understanding of how the pellet industry works.
Right. And I also think that, we're in a world today where, you can sue somebody because they don't use the correct pronoun, or you can sue somebody for whatever you want to sue them for. And so, again, I think this is one of those deals where somebody behind the scenes is trying to get something that's going to benefit them. And in the meantime, in some people's eyes, it makes it look like Traeger has done something wrong when in actuality, I don't think that's the case. And I kind of hate that part of it. And I'll tell you this, this is my honest opinion. I've used Traeger pellets. I use them all the time. I use them on my Grilla Grills. I've used Grilla Grill pellets in my Traegers, vice versa. I've used Lumberjack pellets. I've used Barbecuer's Delight pellets. Flavor-wise, I can't tell much difference, and I've used every single flavor of those pellets. I can't tell much difference in flavors out of any of those. So, again, if you can't tell the difference, which I can't, and I grill all the time.
Right.
What would be the reasoning other than to just have a lawsuit to do that kind of BS is what I would call it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And the main reason is because their process they're having to follow right now, without using the process, without being able to use the process that we use.
Right.
They're having to use a lot more material. And it's costing them a lot more money.
And that's what it comes down to is money. One company is doing a process that's cheaper than the process that I'm using, and I want to be able to use that process.
Exactly. And also it turns into, there's some of them, granted I can't talk about them, but there's some of them that in order to cut down on that cost, now they use a filler.
Right.
We don't have any fillers in it at all.
Right.
If you want to say that the oil is a filler, you can. It's an extract. But there's nothing to add to the wood that's going to beef it up or make it where it forms a pellet.
Well, and
other than 5% moisture.
And here's the other thing that I've heard this for several years now since I've been cooking on pellet grills, is that the Traeger pellets, have more issues because they put oils in them. I've heard that for years.
Yeah.
I haven't had any more trouble with Traeger pellets than I have with any other brand of pellet. And I can count issues that I've had with pellets on one hand. So, and I've probably owned 8 pellet grills altogether in the last 3 years.
Yep.
So, that's simply not true. So, and that from my perspective and what I have experienced, it's not true. I can't speak for anybody else. But.
And the same for me. And I've used lots of different brands of pellets, and I've had some that I didn't like as far as other brands because it smelled different. I couldn't tell a big difference in heat wise, but I could tell a difference in the way it just smelled.
Right.
So that in turn turns into flavor. But there isn't a pellet grill company out there that's got, your fruit wood style pellets, your maple, your cherry, apple, stuff like that doesn't have some sort of flavoring in there to achieve that profile of wood. It's just not possible. There would not be an apple tree left on the planet.
Yeah.
From one iteration. There's just not that many apple trees out there, and the apple trees are doing what they do. They're producing fruit. And I think, I didn't realize what it took to make a pellet, and now that I do know, obviously the typical, person out there using pellets doesn't know that process. They don't know what it takes, how many trees it takes to make pellets and all that stuff.
Right.
How many trees it takes to make charcoal.
Right.
That's
well,
and that's something else that opened my eyes too. Was I didn't realize a lot of these like lump charcoals and briquettes and all that, that have cherry wood in them. Well, that's an extract too.
Right. Well,
it's not a pure cherry wood.
And that's the other thing that I was just about to say was, and I got a couple questions right here that I want to get to, but you could say the same thing about all of these different flavored, like the past couple of cooks on my pit barrel cooker, I've been using Kingsford cherry briquettes.
Oh yeah, good stuff. I like that.
And I've been happy with it, but you could probably say the same thing about that. You could say the same thing about all the fillers that some of the charcoal briquette companies put in their briquettes.
Yeah.
And what they're using for those fillers. You could say that about a lot of stuff. You can I mean, that's Pandora's box being opened up.
It is.
in my
But
opinion.
to say, to talk about the oil issue and everybody, there ain't a pellet grill company out there that doesn't use an oil. It's just
Elvin,
that simple.
Elvin says, is the more expensive process a better process, or is the Traeger process less expensive and better in the end product? Before Harley answers it, I'll just say again, like I said a while ago, I've used 4 or 5 different brands of pellets. I can't tell the difference between them. And so, and here's the other thing. It makes you wonder, because if think about this, guys, and I'm just using common sense here. If that process is a little bit cheaper process for the company, and the other process is a little bit more expensive, then how in the world are they able to sell a 40-pound bag for $7? If their process is more expensive, it can't be as good a quality. I wouldn't think.
And it's
That,
not because
I mean, that's just me using some common sense there,
Well, and the reason why our process is cheaper for us to manufacture is because we patented it first.
Right.
We own it. So we found a better way to do it. So in that process of doing it, because, that's the thing that people can't get mad about that are in the industry is Traeger was the first. So
Right.
you get mad at them when they've got a process down pat. Well, hell, they're the ones that did it first.
Right.
So
But
if they didn't do it first, then they shouldn't have been making pellet grills.
This hat's more expensive to make. This hat's cheaper to make, but I'm gonna sell this hat for 30% cheaper than this one. Well, they can't be the same quality if you're doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That maybe they are, but that's just me making common sense. If they are the same quality, then this company right here is losing their tail.
And that's where the quality of materials comes in. If the process is more expensive, you have to make up that difference by cutting corners somewhere. And the biggest thing that you can cut as far as quality is your raw materials.
Stephen Manis says he's used 3 brands of pellet grills, used many different brands of pellets, had about as many issues on one as he has the other. Stephen, I agree with you. And, I know that there's some guys out there that's got, evidently they've got their part bloodhound, because they swear that they can tell the difference between a good quality pellet when the smoke comes out than another and all that stuff. Well, hats off to you, because I can't tell the difference.
There's only been 2 brands that I tried where I could tell a distinct difference when I fired it up, and that was only 2 different brands other than the Traeger brand, and they were, in my opinion, as bottom of the barrel as you could get. Matter of fact, I got one bag for $7.99.
Yeah.
And it was their oak flavor. At the time, they only had 4 flavors, and it was their oak pellet, and it was a lot stronger white smoke coming out of it for a longer period of time.
Right.
And a harsher smell. But that was only 2 different brands out of, the ones I've tried. And that's the thing. You got to look at it too. And that sounds harsh to say, but it's the truth in my mind. Just my opinion, my mind is, again, Traeger coined and patented the whole entire process from pellet grill to pellets. They kind of know what they're doing, and they haven't changed the process because it's all been in the playbook from day one.
Mama Julie Cooks, thank you for stopping by. I want to wish you a good night. Peter had a great question, and I've thought about this too. And I originally thought about it when I first got my Grilla Silverbac. Grilla Grills didn't have their own brand of pellets yet. They were selling Barbecuer's Delight on their website, and so I was using Barbecuer's Delight. And when they came out with their own brand, I wondered in my mind, are they the same pellet just in a different bag? But then when I looked at the pellets, they looked different. The size was a little different and stuff like that. So I don't think it's the same pellet. I think it's a different pellet. But Peter asked a great question, which was, do the mills that say you were at today, is that strictly a Traeger mill, or do they make pellets for other companies?
No, it's 100% Traeger.
So Traeger kind of signs an agreement with a pellet mill.
No, we own that pellet mill.
So that is a Traeger pellet mill.
Yeah, it's not everybody in that wearing Traeger t-shirts, Traeger hats.
Gotcha.
Probably Traeger underwear.
Now, would you say, however, that there are pellet mills out there that make pellets for 2, 3, 4 different brands of pellets?
100% there is.
Okay.
There's lots of them, very similar to how sauces and rubs are made.
Right.
Now, one sauce and rub manufacturer will make, sauces and rubs for 10 different sauce and rub labels.
Right.
But for us, for Traeger, because that's how the process was started from day one, we own the pellet mills.
Gotcha. Do you know of any other pellet grill company that owns their own pellet mills?
I do not.
That's not to say that there's not one that doesn't, but you just
Correct.
don't know. You're not aware of another pellet grill company that owns their own mill.
I'm not aware.
Gotcha.
I've heard before that Louisiana owns theirs. But they do also, I've also heard, it's not confirmed, but I've heard Louisiana owns their pellet mills,
Mm-hmm.
and they also make pellets for other companies.
And by the way,
they also make the Pit Boss brand pellet too.
Right, because they're basically the same company.
Correct.
Gotcha. Had another question. What does the industry consider a filler? Is there a certain percentage of filler allowed before a company has to disclose that? Elvin,
Very
first
good question. That came up in my visit.
Yeah, and that's not only pellets. That's the foods that we eat from the grocery store and everything else. And that's another topic of discussion is the GMO, non-GMO stuff, and
Yep.
And companies now can play with words and get away with a lot of stuff just by how they word it.
Yes.
A lot of people buying eggs, for example, they see cage free, and so they think that should be great. But you gotta kind of read between the lines and find out exactly what cage free, what does that exactly consist of, and it's the same thing with fillers. I would imagine that there is a certain percentage of fillers that is allowed, but a filler is pretty much anything that is added, what I would consider to be to take up space, to add volume, which is like oatmeal is
Yep.
a filler for a lot of different things.
Yep.
Stuff like that. So
And corn. I learned about
corn,
that.
yeah.
And to answer your question, this is the scary part, and this is a good thing about some of this lawsuit stuff is bringing to light that there currently is no regulation on that. So pellet manufacturers can add whatever in the hell they want to add, and that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Because I've broken down pellets before and seen some stuff that looked weird to me. Some of those lower end pellets that I used before, one of them I broke and had blue stuff in it.
Okay, well, I was just fixing to say that, Harley, because, and this goes back to certain pellet mills making pellets for several different pellet companies.
That's correct.
Because I have seen posts on Facebook of people opening up several different brands of pellets with that blue stuff in it. Now, my first question is, what is the blue stuff? How does it get in there? It's got to be something in the production process, but because it's several different brands of pellets, it has to be coming from the same mill, I would think.
some of the pellet manufacturers use.
Plastic?
Yeah, that it's some type of composite in there. That you have some pellet mills that actually make fuel grade pellets for pellet stoves, and then they'll turn right around and make food grade pellets. Right. Well, you can never clean those augers out enough.
So what you're saying is, yeah, and that's something interesting too, because basically that's how Grilla Grills started. Was they were doing pellet furnaces.
Yep.
And they kind of got the idea, why couldn't we do a pellet grill? And so that's how they got into it. But obviously they're not using pellet furnace pellets.
Correct.
You know, let's be clear about that. They're using food grade pellets for their brand of pellets. But
they're using good pellets.
But what you're saying is some of these mills may be selling both, and it's hard. They would have to do a total flush of their system between making the pellet furnace pellets and then go.
Would consist of taking that entire tower,
right,
all that stuff completely down and redoing all that, which would be about an 8-week shutdown.
Right.
That's not feasible. It's not going to happen.
Elvin, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. This is good stuff. And it's funny that you called in, Harley, because me and Brandy actually talked about this the other night about, I had an idea about starting to get guests, do a call in and just have a little Q&A where people could listen in and stuff. And so you're the first call in guest. And I couldn't think of a better one, because this specifically at this time with the class action suit and all that, this is right on time. And it's funny that this happened while, the week or so that you were going to visit a pellet mill. So that's pretty cool. Peter says Pitballs has a video on their YouTube page showing the manufacturing of their pellets. So check that out if you feel the desire to do that. That'd be pretty cool. So those low cost pellets can fill the pellets with everything from house insulation to rat turds, and they could not get in any sort of trouble. Well, Elvin, I mean, think about it. It's probably something that is going to have to be looked at, because obviously nobody is sitting around eating a bowl full of pellets. So you're not actually, directly consuming them, but you're cooking food with them. And that's got to have an impact somehow or another on your body, and what you're putting in your body. So it's got to be looked at and regulated somehow, I would think. Mike Tabor says, so does Traeger fuel pellets and smoker pellets each have their own facilities? That's a good question.
Yes. Actually, we don't make any Traeger fuel pellets anymore.
So Traeger doesn't make any pellet furnace pellets?
No, not anymore. Had for a long time.
Eddie Hanks, if the pellets runs good and the food tastes great, I'll run the pellet. Really great call in. Like that a good man clears up the smoke. Thanks, Harley. Eddie, that's my view. That is my view. There's only been one brand of pellets, I've talked about this before on the show, that I've used and probably won't use again, and it had nothing to do with the flavor. What I found was it just left too much ash in my fire pot, and so I just would rather not use that, but the flavor was still good. Yeah, you talking about that one?
No.
What?
Is that?
If it says 100% hardwood, it can't have fillers. Is that right, Harley?
Correct. It's not supposed to.
It's supposed to be that 100% hardwood.
Yep. So if they identify that, one of those bags, pull it open, they do a test on it, it's supposed to have 100% hardwood in there as a base.
Right. Gotcha.
And if they find a filler in there, that's the one thing that can get any pellet manufacturer in trouble.
Right.
Is because that's the only regulation there is. But
Right.
the good thing about that, what's coming out now with the lawsuit and that kind of different stuff is it's going to get other people to tighten up.
Right.
And we're very, as a company, Traeger seems to be very happy about the lawsuit and turns it into a positive because it's going to make the entire industry tighten up the way it should. Well, we're already tightened up. So what it's going to do is cost the people that's doing the lawsuit a lot of money they can't afford to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, I thank you for calling in. I mean, all your help in general. I mean, you've helped me tremendously on this channel and
I'm
help,
glad I got to call in.
and you've helped a lot of people on this channel. So I appreciate you calling in and shedding some light on all that stuff. And
hopefully it helps a little bit. You know, saying that there's so much about not even just pellet grills, the grill industry that I've learned in my 2 years with Traeger that I didn't understand, had no clue of what really goes on and what takes place with, you know, new product launches, fuels, no matter if it's, you know, charcoal, pellet, you know, whatever, the different charcoals, doesn't matter. Had no idea how things are marketed, how it's presented to people, how focus groups run to get people's, you know, insight of how, you know, companies can better sell products and offer a better product.
right.
So yeah, it's, you know, until you're on that side of the fence, you don't
Right.
know. And if you got that information, if we can pass that on to your viewers, you know, to help out at least just a little bit,
Right.
you know, it makes a big difference. I mean, because there's nothing worse than us just being a normal consumer and think it's one way when we don't know that there's 10 other ways.
Right. And that's the kind of outlook that I've tried to have with this channel is just having an open mind and realizing that it's easy, you know, to play armchair quarterback and
Yep.
and do this or that, but there's so many people out there that don't understand the behind the scenes stuff that goes on with any company, but being specific with this topic, the grill companies, you know. So I appreciate that insight too. Well, thank you, man. And we're going to get off here in just a minute
Sounds good.
and all that, but want to thank you again, man. And we need to get together pretty soon.
That sounds good.
Love you, boy.
I appreciate you having me on. Love you too.
Love you.
See you, bud.
Love you.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was pretty cool. My brother Harley, who we'll put right out there, he works for Traeger Grills, but talking about pellets, and he had just visited a pellet mill today. So that was kind of right on time for the topic of conversation that a lot of people are having on Facebook and that kind of thing. So really cool stuff. Glad to have him on. And as I say, me and Brandy were talking the other night about possibly having some more call-in folks just call in for a little bit and maybe get a little insight into their world and their barbecue views and that kind of stuff. So we're going to try to do that a little bit more often. So let me know what you think about that. Daddy Duck's Barbecue, waiting for an email from y'all.
You didn't email me. That's not my note.
We're trying to find it,
No, that was
see what we were.
the
No, that ain't it.
no, that was him.
We'll figure it out. Last week, Sweet Heat.
Oh, the rub.
Eddie, I saw a question. Back up here a little bit. Is a filler and a flavor oil the same thing? Eddie, I would say no, because I don't think the flavor oil is adding volume to the process. It's adding flavor to the process. By that, I mean, you know, say you take a pound of maple sawdust, but you want a pound and a half of pellets, so you add a half a pound of oatmeal to it. That's a filler. I don't think the oil would be a filler because it's not adding volume. It's adding. You're still getting the same volume of product, if that makes sense. That's my view. That's not an official company view from anybody. That's just my view. That's what I would think anyway.
Right here.
Where you should name this live stream Chimp giveaway and Traeger lawsuit. I bet you. Yeah, you're right. I need a little clickbait on that. That's pretty good, Elvin. That's a good idea. I may actually change the name to put that in there. I agree with you. I appreciate that idea. Good stuff. Fascinating talk with knowledgeable guests. Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Mike Tabor says oil adds weight too. It very well could be. I'm just trying to use my, how I kind of see it. I'm not sure what the official answer would be on that. But good stuff. I enjoyed this live stream tonight. It went really well, and got to talk to my brother and all that too. So that was good stuff. Terry, good to have you tonight. Thank you very much. I asked last week if you guys would like to try a sweet heat rub. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. As soon as we get off here, I'm going to send you an email. Definitely will do that. And I apologize for letting it slip. Is Grilla Grill pellets a good pellet to use? I have had no issues at all whatsoever with Grilla Grill pellets. I use them all the time. Could they add some hashish? That'd be pretty cool. There'd be a lot more grilling going on. I just fire up my grill without any meat sometimes, probably. I grill in the morning before I went to work. Probably shouldn't have said that, should I?
That sounds good, Stephen. You take care and keep us updated. We'll be praying for you.
Bless you, Stephen. Appreciate you, brother. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Keep looking for the announcements about the hats and all that stuff. Check out the koozies on JusPiddlinBBQ.com. Updated the banner on the channel with the website on it, so check that out. And probably no morning show Sunday morning because me and Brandon will be at Talladega race weekend, but we'll try to check in at some point.
We might be able to do
throughout the
something
weekend.
like when we're in the track. Maybe we might have some like on Facebook or something.
Maybe, but you can't monetize something when you're filming because NBC and NASCAR own the rights to that. So it would be non-monetized right off the bat.
On Facebook.
We'll see.
It's different than YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you. And if you're listening in your car, thanks for the ride. All right, guys. Till next time, we'll be piddling. Thank you.
Good night.